Legal Kaleidoscope. I'm attorney TataNisha. We're live on 910 AM Radio Superstation, Radio Our Way. We are Detroit's largest voice for African Americans. I'm also on channel 38 WADL. I always like to start off by thanking Denise Doty Johnson and Mr. Kevin Adele. I'd also like to thank my engineer, Anthony, and I'd like to thank my camera guy, Ray. And most of all for today, I'd like to thank my special guest. I have, again, attorney TataNisha Coleman.
Yeah, thank you, TataNisha. I'm glad to be back. Thank you all.
And I have attorney Nicole Smith. James. I have a friend named Nicole Smith, sorry.
She's giving me a whole new name. But I am Nicole James, and thank you for having me here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. As you guys know, these wonderful women who are both running for judge, they were here last week. It was crazy. We had such a good time. We got so much information out, but we didn't get to finish talking about all of our topics. We said we were going to talk about expungement. We didn't even get a chance to touch expungement because we had so many callers coming in and we were doing so much. So again, we're going to hop back on it. Today we're going to talk about expungements. We're going to talk about the difference between expungements and presidential pardons. And in terms of what's the difference? What charges can be expunged? What charges can be pardoned? And when do you get an expungement versus a pardon? We're also going to talk about some of the diversion programs like HIDA. What does HIDA mean, ladies?
Homes Youthful Training Act.
What's another diversion program, Nicole, that you can think of?
7411, which is applicable to drug cases.
And when we say diversion programs, what we're talking about is if you commit a crime and you don't have a record that's really scathed, how you can walk away with no felony on your record. So we're going to jump right in. Oh, wait, I got some really good news for the viewers and the listeners. We're going to start a sports segment on Legal Kaleidoscope because we need something,
Something fun.
Something fun, something entertaining, something for the men. We're going to keep it legal. We're going to talk about sports. We're going to talk about some different things that men in the sports field should be doing in terms of trust, in terms of wills, etc. But we're just going to talk about flat out sports. So at the end of the hour, the last 20 minutes, I'm going to bring in two new guests, and we're going to talk about sports.
Wonderful.
That's pretty cool. Ladies, I need your energy.
I tell you.
All right.
Looking forward to talking today.
So, TataNisha, and again, TataNisha, tell them who you are and what you're running for.
I'm TataNisha Taylor Coleman. I'm running for Third Circuit Court. I've been practicing over 20 years and just ready to bring my experience, my knowledge, my interest in being being a judge, but also being a public servant to the bench. TataNisha Taylor Coleman, running for Third Circuit Court.
Nicole?
Good afternoon again. My name is Nicole James. I'm running for the Michigan Court of Appeals. I am a lawyer with more than 16 years experience. I spent 15 years at the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office as an assistant prosecuting attorney, and I've been in private practice for about the last 2 years, practicing criminal, family, and probate amongst a few. So I practice a wide variety of things, but that is my focus.
Yes, and Nicole is a force to be reckoned with. Oftentimes, we were on the opposite side of the V, Nicole.
Yes, we were.
But I like it better now that we're on the same side.
I've heard that many times.
So, let's talk about diversion programs. People are really confused about expungements. I get so many people in my office, and they say, I want my record expunged, and they took my money, and they couldn't expunge it. TataNisha, what is an expungement? Attorney TataNisha Coleman.
An expungement is essentially you're filing a motion to set aside a conviction. There are specific rules that you have to follow to get that done. There is a form that you can do yourself. You just get the form from any clerk's office, either district or circuit. Most people that have felonies are the main things because felonies keep people from having a job. They have to apply to the circuit court in their county where they were convicted. You have to wait 5 years. You have to get a certified copy of the discharge.
Wait, is that 5 years from the date of the conviction, 5 years from when I got out of prison, or 5 years from when I got off probation?
5 years from the date that your conviction sentence is closed. So if you went to prison and you didn't have a tail and there's nothing else, it's 5 years after that is completed. And that's only if you have one felony. You can have one felony and 2 misdemeanors expunged, but you can have no more than that. If you got 2 felonies, I'm sorry to say, you're out of luck. So if someone tells you, "Oh, I can do it," and you know that you have more than one felony, they're just taking your money and taking you for a ride. It cannot be done by law. It is a statute that provides for the expungement or the set aside conviction, and you can't go above and beyond those stipulations. 5 years after your probation is ended, after you are discharged from your parole or whatever it is, 5 years after that, and only then can you apply to the court. And then you have to get your fingerprints. You have to pay $50 to the Michigan State Police. You get a court date once you send it to the Attorney General, Michigan State Police, the prosecutor in which the county in which the crime was committed, and one other. That's the main people.
Yes.
And the Michigan State Police and all of those parties will send back to the court that whether or not they agree or disagree. If they disagree, they will provide documentation, and usually it's because you have more than one conviction that can be removed. But it is can be a fairly simple, straightforward process. It takes 6 weeks to do, and you definitely, if you have one felony and or 2 misdemeanors, get it done, because it'll make a big difference in your life.
That's correct. And the rules were the statute was modified, I think,
recently.
last year.
Yes.
When, because I know before that, if you had a misdemeanor of driving while license suspended, that's a misdemeanor, but it's a traffic offense. That would keep you from getting your conviction expunged. It's been changed that traffic offenses do not affect your expungement.
And how do you feel about that? Because I thought that was like utterly ridiculous. I have a speeding ticket and now I can't get my record expunged.
It was extreme, but you have to understand they set these I would say protocols up to wean people out. And if you're committing certain kind of crimes, and as you know, that when you have a suspended license, that prevents you from doing a lot of things. Yes. But also be clear, no traffic offenses can be expunged. None
Correct.
can be set aside. No drinking offenses,
Please say
no
that again,
traffic.
because somebody is telling these individuals that you can get your OUI and your DUI expunged. And I continue to tell them that you can't. Nicole, what are some of the enumerated felonies, some of the capital felonies that cannot be expunged?
You cannot get a homicide expunged.
Anything with a life offense.
Anything with a life offense. So no armed robberies, nothing of that nature. But certainly we see more often than not people getting convictions expunged, like maybe a breaking and entering or a home invasion or something of that nature.
Tell them what a life offense is, because as attorneys, we often say, oh, nothing with the life offense, but they don't know what carries a life offense. Can you tell the listeners some of the things that carry a life offense?
Criminal sexual conduct in the first and or second degree, anything that will have you registering for over 10 years in regards to criminal sex. And I say registering, I mean the criminal sexual conduct registry. You cannot have any of those crimes expunged. You cannot have any crime that carries a life offense. That's homicide, that's carjacking, that's armed robbery. All of those things. Kidnapping, correct. All of those things would prevent you from getting that conviction expunged, even if you never did anything else, even if it's the first and only crime you've ever committed in your life, it is on your record.
Exactly. And some of the other crimes that you'll see people trying to request an expungement for are things like a felonious assault, which is a low-level assault, but it is a felony. I've had a number of people get expungements or apply for expungements for convictions like that, or assault with the intent to commit grave bodily harm. People even have applied for expungements for misdemeanor assault and batteries. And those are people who may not have a felony, but don't want to have anything on their record. And they are eligible to apply for that expungement.
Okay, let's talk about you were talking about a 7711, 7411. We had so many acronyms out there. Tell the people what you started to tell them in reference to the drugs and how that could potentially be suppressed. And I would always say get a lawyer. even if it is an expungement, because oftentimes you don't know where to go to get your fingerprints from. You don't know who to call. You don't know where to send the stuff at. And so it's taking you a long time. The process becomes arduous when it's really not. So again, if you need an expungement, you can always call me, 248-228-8377. But let's talk about some of the things. Before we go to 711 and 7411, what is the difference between an expungement and a pardon?
Well, a pardon is something given by I won't say leader of a governmental base, but governmental pardons, presidential pardons are it is not saying that the crime never happened. It's saying that the repercussions of those crimes that you would otherwise cause a detriment to your record no longer applicable. You can get a you can get a governor's pardon or a presidential pardon. President cannot provide a pardon for a state case. There is a distinction between the state and the federal government, and those distinctions are very specific, and a president cannot pardon a state crime, just like a governor cannot pardon a federal crime.
So how would I know what type of situation I were in? I often have clients who come to me who should have had something expunged, who should have been pled out under HIDA, who should have been pled out under a diversion program, and they shouldn't have this one thing on their record, maybe because they were under the age of 20 or 21, or because they had a small amount of drugs, but their attorney simply wasn't invested in their case. How do we educate our viewers and our listeners? What are some of the things between pardon and expungement that they'll know, well, hey, maybe this is the difference between expungement and pardon, and this is what I should be getting?
There are certain kind of crimes that would be a pardonable crime.
Okay.
I don't have the list. I had it. I apologize. You can contact me at 313-574-4607 or dtaylorcoleman@gmail.com, and I can provide that list. I don't know if either one of you have it, but there's certain kind of crimes.
I think what's important to know with respect to the expungements and the pardons, the expungements are, even though it can be an arduous process, it is an easier process than that of a presidential pardon or a governor's pardon. And I think it's important that the viewers and the listeners know that if you think that you may be eligible for an expungement, I would suggest that you contact an attorney to discuss that with them. And there are many attorneys who will, if you give them the information about what you were charged with or convicted of and why you believe that you may be eligible for an expungement, they'll give you that information without anything further. Now, of course, if you want them to take you through the process, there's a fee associated with that. But I think it's important, like TataNisha said, that if you are not familiar with the process, to get through the process quickly, it may be better to hire someone to do that for you, because it can get confusing. And we as attorneys do this every day, so we know exactly what to do and how to get you there.
Absolutely. Now, Nicole, let's talk about Attorney Nicole. Let's talk about the 7711 and the 7411 programs. Can you tell our viewers what they are?
7411 is a diversionary program where if someone is charged and convicted of a drug offense, low level, which would be possession or use of some kind of illegal narcotic, that they would be eligible to have that expunged at the end of their probationary period. So they would be on probation. If they successfully complete, it would automatically be taken off their record at the end of the probationary period.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you said they're low-level drug cases?
Yes, they would be possession. It could be possession of marijuana or use of marijuana or possession of cocaine or heroin or use of those narcotics. Those are the things that are that would be eligible for 7411.
So be real clear, a delivery charge is not eligible for 7411.
That's
and
correct.
Also to note, it is based on the prosecutor's approval. You
That's
can't
right.
just go in and say, well, give me 7411. The prosecutor has to approve it, and if they don't, then you need to be talking to your attorney about other avenues in which maybe or hopefully to work that this will not remain on your record.
And it also, it is based on your criminal history.
Yes.
So if you're a person that has a number of different drug crimes, like Delisha has indicated, the prosecutor has to agree, and they're not likely to agree if you have a number of different convictions. It is utilized to keep someone who doesn't have a record from having a record. They understand that people make mistakes or bad judgment calls, and the whole purpose of things like HIDA and 7411 and 771.1, those diversionary programs, is to keep people from having criminal records.
And I just wanted to chime in before we go to break. It is a charge reduction. So if you do have a possession with intent to deliver, you can still receive a charge reduction, and it can come down from possession with intent to deliver to a simple possession or a use, depending on the facts of your case. So don't get discouraged if you do have a with intent to deliver. It is oftentimes used as a charge reduction. Wouldn't you guys agree?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
So, and what we're trying to do today is just make you aware of what's going on, make you aware of some of your legal remedies, because knowledge is power. And oftentimes in the community, we don't have the knowledge, therefore we don't have the power. And we have so many young individuals and older individuals who are walking away with a criminal record or a felony when they in fact should not be. So we're about to go to break. But before we go to break, I just want to say one thing. When you go to those polls in November, please vote for Delisha Coleman, Third Circuit Court Judge. Also vote for Attorney Nicole James for Court of Appeals Judge. Thank you.
Have your constitutional rights been violated by illegal search or seizure of your motor vehicle or home? Did you know that every parent has a fundamental right of parenting, which includes visitation? Call me to get the rights you deserve. I'm attorney TataNisha Reed. Innocent until proven guilty is your right, not just the same. My team of legal professionals will work aggressively to advocate your criminal and family matters and get your life back on track.
For a greater chance to succeed in your time of need, call attorney TataNisha Reed.
The guest about the sports edition. And actually, my wonderful cameraman, Ray Mosley, he is going to be the leader of our sports edition, and he's going to have some co-hosts. In fact, Ray Mosley is going to bring his own show to 9:10 a.m., and possibly Channel 38 WADL. He is a sports guru. I am here with his co-host right now. And what I'd like to do is introduce him to my viewership, my studio audience, or my listeners, and you guys can call in with some questions. Today we're going to talk about Kobe Bryant. We're going to talk about his farewell. We're going to talk about the NBA playoffs, and we're going to jump right in. So, guys, what do you think about Kobe and what's going on in the world?
I'll let Reggie start us off.
Waiting callers, 313-209-9000.
All right, well, Kobe, that he really had a really good career.
Mm-hmm.
But that final game, it was something to watch.
And what do you mean by that?
He scored 60 points.
Mm-hmm.
And also, the type of career, I mean, he really had a real good career, but that, his final season wasn't the best, for Kobe's standards anyway. But that last game was real nice.
Well, first and foremost, I would like to say that Kobe Bryant had an outstanding career, 20 years consecutive with one franchise. A lot of guys want to, jump ship and say, well, this ain't working out. I want to move on. Kobe Bryant, he stuck it out. There were some times he said he wanted to get traded, but he, at the end of it, he stuck with them. But basically what Reggie is trying to say is we, know Kobe to score 40, 50 points. He had the 81-point game back in like 2010 or somewhere around there. But he just, he had a few injuries later on in his career. He's 37. He's been in, the NBA since 1996-97 season. So for him to score 60 points, I mean, we were like, if Kobe scores 20 or 30, it's great. But his teammates were just feeding him the ball, and he just...
Where do you think that adrenaline came from? Do you think it was my going out party, so I'm going to hit every J I have to hit?
Yeah.
Was it a team player? Was he a ball hog? I mean, I know everybody loves
but
Kobe, but let's just be
the
honest.
history behind Kobe,
Okay.
he was always one of those me first type of guys.
Mm-hmm. As indicated when he cheated on his wife?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, let's just stick with the basketball. And he kind of ran Shaq out of town because he wanted to be the man. But, you could say.
Well, some of
whole
his
Colorado
career,
situation.
for the most part, You know, I'm not a fan of him, but I respect his game.
Phenomenal player.
And you
Phenomenal.
know, he was probably
5 championships.
very, very, very good. So like I said, that last game, it was. I guess he wanted to leave out with a bang.
With a bang.
And that's what. And it was an exciting game.
Yes. So when you talk about Kobe, let's compare him to other players, and let's also talk about these young boys who are growing up and they want to be a basketball star.
Oh yeah.
What do you have to say about every young African American kid wanting to be a basketball star or a Kobe James? Do you think it's realistic? Do you think it's unrealistic?
It is very realistic. The thing about it is, a lot of kids growing up, they really follow after the guys that they see. Back then in 96, 97, Kobe Bryant, the year before, Kevin Garnett, those guys were coming out of high school. They were 17 years old. It was a lot easier, I would say, to get into the NBA, but now they have to kind of, go through a process where they have to go at least, to college for 1 year, or they have to be out of high school for a full year. A lot of foreign players are coming in. So, it's just kind of one of those things that it is evolving where players have to now go to college. But I mean, it's a very realistic goal. I mean, the kids can do anything they set their minds to, but they really have to focus in and work hard. Get their education. That's what I'll say about that. But it's Kobe Bryant has left a legacy for Kevin Durant. Russell Westbrook. A lot of these guys, truly look up to Kobe Bryant. For the career that he had, and a lot of guys really don't play that long. 20 years with one franchise is remarkable.
It is totally remarkable. I have a question for you. When you talk about education and basketball stars, I think that they should take financial classes because I have so many individuals who were sports stars who are bankrupt, who don't have necessary wills, necessary trust, necessary money management skills.
Yes.
I think that should be part of the NBA.
Absolutely.
Financial planning. What's your thoughts on that?
They actually have seminars for players. I know more in the NFL for sure. They have seminars for players and their family and their parents to come to where they can learn how to manage money so that they don't end up bankrupt. Because they make 20, 40, 50, 60 million, $100 million contracts. The highest paid player in the NBA right now is Anthony Davis, who got like a 5-year, $143 million contract.
But aren't
He's
so
only
many
like
people
22 years old.
Pulling on them, though.
But see,
so many
and that's
people
the
are
problem.
pulling on them.
So see,
Absolutely.
the problem is, that they try to take care of family members.
Yeah.
They homeboys,
entourages.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that can be financially depleting.
Absolutely.
We have a caller on the line. Let's go to Leroy. Hi, Leroy. How are you?
Hi. The reality is you don't have the caliber of player. You don't have the caliber of players like a Kobe, a Magic Johnson, Spencer Haywood, George Irvin. You don't have those Kevin Garnett, Pierce. You don't have those caliber of players no more. These kids now, when I was coming up in Detroit, we were turning them out every year. We had good players from 68 all through the 70s. What has happened is, one, you have AAU. You don't have like a playground basketball, recreational sports. You don't have that. These kids now, they want to pick who's going to make it and who won't make it. That's part of it. The other part is the crack epidemic. Mm-hmm. I went to see what they were calling the Round Bar Classic, and I'm telling you, it looked like it was in slow motion.
Wait, Leroy, what did you think of Kobe's last game?
Well, I mean, I'm not a Kobe fan.
I'm talking about the sheer skill of it, the art of basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, he's a great player. But I'm saying that caliber of player, you're not going to find them no more.
Yep.
You're not going to find those caliber of players.
One of a kind,
especially look at a place like New York City. New York used to turn them out.
So what's the solution? Players. How do we find? Let's not say you're not going to find. Let's be solution focused here. In one sentence or less, how do we find that player? How do we find that stellar, legacy, legendary player?
Players are developed. Great players are developed. They got some natural ability, but they're developed. You got to go to. I mean, it's like when I was coming up, all you had to do was call next. Go to the playground and call next. You lose, then you call next, and then you get your team back together. Players
ball all day.
They're not. You don't make them. You don't make a player, and that's what they're trying to do with AAU.
I agree with that 100%.
And the other thing about college, now let me tell you one thing about college. Now you can say what you want. The Big Ten could turn all white tomorrow. Okay, because they have a captive audience. If I go to U of M, and as long as I go, I don't care who they put on that floor. I'm going to support my university.
Absolutely.
Okay, and I'm just a student. I'm not an athlete, so I don't care. So you don't have to pay them. You ain't got to pay them. You ain't got to go through all of that.
Leroy.
All you got to do is develop your players.
I agree, and I think that was a great sentence you said. You have to develop your players. So I thank you for calling, Leroy. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, Leroy.
It was our pleasure. So, guys, after talking about Kobe, I hear it's the NBA playoffs. I hear they're starting today.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well,
Who's playing, when, where, the hoorah, who's excited about what? And
Yes.
who do you want to win?
I think the Spurs is going to win, personally.
Reggie thinks the Spurs are going to win. I think the Spurs should win because I feel like the Warriors, the whole world is on their back. Everybody's going to give them 100%. And I feel like by the time they get to the Western Conference Finals, which is 3 rounds into the playoffs, by the time the finals come, I think they'll be beat up.
Why? Why do you think they'll be beat up?
Once again, they just broke the record.
All that.
Shout out to the Warriors. They just broke the record. The 1995-96 Chicago Bulls went 72 wins and 10 losses in an 82-game season. The Warriors just broke the record, 73-9. Congratulations to them. But they just played a long, hard season. Steph Curry is the MVP, 30 points per game. Everybody is going to be targeting these guys this year. Last year, it was kind of like they snuck up on everybody. This year is going to be like, we know the Warriors are the best, and 9 teams found a way to beat them. I just feel like by the time they get to the championship, they're going to be all burnt out. That's just my personal opinion. But I do want the Spurs to win because Tim Duncan is a great legacy player. Has about 18 years on him. 18 years played. He has 5 championships as well as Kobe. If he wins this year, he'll have his 6th, and I think he'll retire. So I would love for the Spurs. I'm a Pistons fan, Detroit basketball, but we finally made the Detroit basketball in the building. So we finally made the playoffs for the first time since 2009. But we got Cleveland, so we start playing them tomorrow. We got a 7-game series with them. So, but I think the Spurs are the best team out there right now.
We're going to go ahead and wrap and wind this up.
Thanks for having us.
I would love to thank you guys. I'd like to thank you, Jason. I'd like to thank you, Reggie. And you guys can't see Ray Mosley, but he's one of my favorite people. Why? Because he's my camera guy. Woo, woo, go Ray. And he does an awesome job. I'd like to thank my engineer, Anthony. I'd like to thank Denise Doty Johnson, station manager, Kevin Adele. I'd like to thank Colette Ramsey. If you guys want a medical marijuana card, give me a call, 248-228-8377. I'll put you in contact with Colette Ramsey. She has a business called Urban Kush. She's a marijuana guru, and she'll get you a marijuana card like that. And if you need a lawyer, call me, Attorney TataNisha Reed, 248-228-8377. Thank you for watching. Visit the Live.